should go around weeping. I should care. I should go without sleeping. Strangely enough, I sleep well, except for a dream or two. But then I count my sheep well. Funny how sheep can lull you to sleep. So I should care. I should let it upset me. Oh, I should care. But it just doesn't get me. Maybe I won't find someone as charming as you. But I should care. And I do. Oh, I should care. I should care. I should care. I should care. I should care, and I do. I should care, and I do. Oh, I should care, and I do.
I Should Care. Etta Jones giving us her interpretation of that classic. Steve Turre, the trombonist. Bill Evans before that doing Elsa from the Jazz Showcase collection. I'm Tony Moa. Let's conclude this hour with Tommy Flanagan.
All right, folks, good evening. Hello from the back of the room. I'm Eric Teal. I'm the program director at WFAE. Just giving you a quick 5-minute head start. We're going to get started here soon with our live stream of our candidate forum. So just a couple of real quick housekeeping notes, and Steve will probably repeat these in just a minute. I know it's hard, but please silence your cell phones. We are live streaming this, but we are also recording it with the intent of using it as our Thursday morning episode of Charlotte Talks. So there will be a radio component of this as well, and of course it doesn't make a lot of sense to be hearing cell phones go off. So understandably, if you've got a call that you need to take and you feel it buzzing in your pocket, head on outside, come back in. The other thing, just real quick, is because of the nature of how many district races, the at-large candidates, etc., we are really going to be on a tight churn to get people on and off in order to keep this from being an absolute marathon. So just kind of pay attention to where everything's going. The volunteers here from League of Women Voters are going to be corralling the next group of people that we're going to be bringing up on stage so that we can keep that transition time to a minimum. Other than that, we'll get started here in about 5 minutes. Thank you all for being here. Really appreciate it.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening. The hour is now 7 p.m. and we have a lot to do this evening. So I want to take a moment and thank you and welcome each and every one of you to WFAE, our building here at 301. We are so thankful and excited to have you here in our space. We're always excited to be able to invite the community in for these conversations that are affecting each and every one of us. So we thank you so much, especially the the League of Women Voters. Thank you so much for being with us as well, for partnering with us for this really important important conversation. My name is Candace Johnson. I serve as the Executive Director of Membership here at WFAE. And naturally, we are always opening our doors to our community to have these conversations, but we're also welcoming you to become a member of WFAE. If you are not one, we welcome you to become a member, because the work and the conversations that we have here year in and year out, and these type of programs are typically funded by our community. So we need your support as well. So if you're not a member of WFAE, if you're not a donor or someone that listens, we invite you to do that and become a part of the WFAE family. So naturally, I had to share that with you because I have the microphone and a captive audience. So thank you all so much. At this time, I'm going to introduce Stacy Jenkins. Stacy has been a resident of Charlotte since 2017. In addition to her job in financial services, Stacy volunteers at the Mecklenburg County Advisory Committee and runs the Civic 101 program for the Charlotte-Mecklenburg League of Women Voters. Ladies and gentlemen, Stacy Jenkins.
Thank you so much. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Candidate Forum for the City Council and the mayoral primary races here in Charlotte. We're so glad that you have joined us tonight as we hear directly from the candidates. This is an important opportunity to learn more about their platforms, priorities, and visions for our city. Tonight's program features representation from all contested primaries, including at-large, district, and mayoral races. And we're proud to bring together such a diverse and committed group. These individuals have stepped forward to serve our community. In partnership with WFAE, the League is honored to host this forum, which is being live streamed on WFAE's YouTube and Facebook pages. The recording will be available after the event, and Mike Collins will feature clips and insight on Thursday's Charlotte Talks. At the League, we believe democracy is not a spectator sport, and the candidates participating tonight exemplify that belief. Each of them has made the decision to step up, share their ideas, and dedicate their time to shaping the future of Charlotte through their public service. We commend their courage and their commitment, and if you would like to learn more about them outside of tonight's event, we encourage you to visit their campaign websites or explore Vote 411, a nonpartisan resource created by the League to help voters make informed decisions. Now, it's my pleasure to introduce our moderator for this evening, Steve Harrison. Steve has been a journalist for over 30 years, beginning his career at the Miami Herald before he moved to North Carolina. He has covered the city of Charlotte for nearly 2 decades, including the last 8 years here at WFAE. His deep knowledge of local government and thoughtful reporting make him the perfect guide for tonight's conversation. Steve?
All right, thank you everybody for coming. We really appreciate it. We're going to get started tonight with Charlotte City Council at large. Because we've got so many candidates, we're going to do them in 2 groups. We are starting tonight with council members Lawana Slack-Mayfield and Victoria Watlington, and challengers J.G. Lockhart and Will Holly, if y'all can come up. Great, thank you guys for coming. I think the main thing, I'll just say one more time to remind everyone to silence their cell phones. And as we go through tonight, I think one of the biggest challenges will be time. We've got so many races, so many candidates. We're gonna try and keep this discussion to about 15 minutes, so good luck. I'll start. I'll just ask Councilmember Watlington just to say, introduce yourself and why you're running, et cetera, et cetera.
Absolutely. Good evening. I'm Victoria Watlington, and I serve you on Charlotte City Council as a member at large. I've been serving on City Council since 2019, first as the District 3 rep on the west side, and now at large. And I also have the pleasure of serving you as the Housing, Safety, and Community Committee Chair. I'm running on a platform of community-led planning, affordable housing, transportation, and economic mobility. To put it simply, I like to say I'm running for my neighbors. That's how I started, and that's why I'm still running. I'm running because I feel I am the product of strong economic mobility policy. I'm a proud Army brat. Both my parents were in the service and have retired from the U.S. Army, and I was able to reap the benefit of the benefits that they earned in order for them to be able to take care of their family, go back to school, purchase a home and the like. But still, when it was time to go to college, we found that though I had gotten into the schools that I wanted to, could not afford to go, but thankfully I was able to receive a scholarship for minority achievement scholars and was able to go to a Research One university on a full scholarship. So it's important to me that we continue to build policy that enables that kind of opportunity. So I look forward to continuing to work with you here in the city on things just like that.
Councilmember Mayfield.
Good evening, everyone. I am LaWanna Slight Mayfield. I currently serve you as one of your 4 at-large members. I would say my path is a little different from my colleagues on council this time around. I first joined you all on City Council in 2011 and had the opportunity to serve for 8 years as the District 3 representative, where I was able to create some really positive impact with the District 3 Airport Job Fair that ran for 7 years, the contractual commitments with the Charlotte Premium Outlets, and then them coming back a year later to have our first ever youth job fair. A lot of community work all along Freedom and Wilkerson and West Boulevard, creating the TLC by COT housing rehab program, and then running in 2019 and not winning. And unfortunately had a pandemic, so I went back to my core of community service and volunteerism, which I had done for more than 25 years in this city. A lot of people know, some don't, that my parents unfortunately passed when I was young. My father unexpectedly when I was 13, my mom when I was 15. So by 17, I was out on my own, living in Miami in Dade County, so 305 is always there. Moved here for a visit, fell in love with this city, grew up in this city. So now, as an at-large member, I lead our Faith and Housing Initiative, working directly with religious institutions, continuing to push the conversation around multifamily versus home ownership when we have over 100,000 single-family homes that are now rentals in our city, which are in essence apartments, a number of those owned by domestic and international and locally. So what is that impact on our community? I am seeking re-election to continue the work with Faith and Housing, continue the work of fighting for the neighbors and the communities that I still walk alongside, pick up trash with, have conversations with, because this work has always meant my service, and my service is my guide, and ultimately that is my why. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. My name is J.G. Lockhart, and I am a native Charlottean. And I just got to be honest, the reason that I chose to embark on this journey is because I've just seen too much happening in this city that I've grown up in and my parents were raised in, and it just seems like the city is losing the reason that people like Mr. Mayfield, Councilwoman Mayfield, moved here. It used to be a time when people would talk about Charlotte as the place to be. Charlotte is this, it's so clean, it's so that. But now when I talk to people, people are saying, you know, I'm ready to leave because Charlotte has changed so much. It seems like we're trying to become something that we are not. Charlotte is Charlotte. There's no other city in America like Charlotte. It's not Atlanta, it's not New York, it's definitely not LA. It's nothing like that. That's why when people come to visit, they fall in love with this place. You know, there are problems all over our country. Everywhere there are problems. But Charlotte in itself has been able to overcome a lot of problems to still be a progressive city for all people. And just over the last 20 years, I've seen that change. I've seen us allow our city to go to investors where every parcel of land that can be built on is built on. I've seen where our parks and our green spaces are disappearing. This whole transit issue, to me, is just incredible because we got ourselves in this situation. It seems like nobody is trying to get us out of it. And I have to tell you, I could not stand by and sleep another day and wake up and go about my day and watch my city going down this spiral and do absolutely nothing. And so that's one of the reasons that I'm running. There are a lot more, but like Councilwoman Mayfield said, I love this city. I love the people in it, and I don't want our city to turn into a Chicago or New York where we've forgotten about a couple of sides of the city and the suburbs are booming and bustling and the rest of the city sucks and nobody wants to come into the city anymore. They just want to come in, party, and get out. So I am running for city council at large, and I appreciate your vote. Thank you.
So let's switch, we'll talk about one of the biggest issues on the ballot this fall, transit. This fall, voters in Mecklenburg County will decide whether to increase the general sales tax to 8.25% to pay for a multi-billion-dollar roads and transit plan. I'll start with you, Councilmember Mayfield. Will you be supporting the plan?
So as a individual voter and as an elected official, I have not made a decision. I'm still looking and speaking with members of the community. I have many questions. Council has the ability to appoint this committee. We have 9 seats out of more than 20. I am really hoping that my colleagues will see value in us having multiple actual transit riders. For me, 4 to 5 of those 9 should go to actual transit riders, not just the corporations that will benefit off of this. Also, we've heard a lot of people say that it's a regressive tax. When you think of the impact on our lowest paid workers versus someone that's in a very different socioeconomic status, that same tax, when they go out to eat, when they go to the store, it's not going to impact them the same way. And with our current bus system, I have a concern that we are not advocating enough for the bus routes that we currently have. Seems every week we're learning of a new route being redirected. I think there's some things we could do right now that could help us move it along. I do want to say, yes, I think we need to have this conversation. This is, for now, a once in a lifetime because we went 30 years without making the investment. I just want to make sure that this investment is truly going to bring to the community what we're promising, especially in this climate on the federal level, where everything dealing with minority, with women, with diversity is being attacked. How do we make sure the diversity of our community actually benefit those small businesses that we have so that we can see true economic growth?
So Will Holly has just joined us. Will, I'll just kind of jump in right and start with you. I asked a question about the transit tax in November, and we'll just jump right in. Well, first, I guess I'm saying you can introduce yourself a little bit, and then the question is, will you be supporting the tax in November?
Right. How y'all doing? My name is Will Holly, candidate for City Council at large, Charlotte resident for 17 years, and answer the question. What's the question again, sir?
Oh, just about the transit tax. We're going to, the proposal is to increase the sales tax 8.25% to pay for the roads and transit plan, and will you be supporting it?
I do support it. The reason I support it because I used to be a bus rider, and I know how it is to be standing in a patch of grass, scared of snakes, ready to run away from anything to come up. And then plus when the bus come by, be ashamed because there's no structure there to actually sit down or be comfortable if it's raining. So I do support it. I mean, if you go over the plan, it's some things and loopholes that everybody really don't understand. But like I say in all my forums, that if they do more informative, like the way we get to churches and gatherings and explain to the people how it's going to work, how it's going to benefit them, I think people will be more on board.
Mr. Lockhart?
Okay. So let's go back in time. 1998. I don't know if you guys remember, Chicago was trying to win their 3rd championship for the 2nd time in a row, and the half-cent tax proposal came up. And with that half-cent tax proposal, which funded the Blue Line, we also gave away control of our destiny to the formed Metropolitan Transit Commission. This happened in 1998. Now, I know that I wasn't aware of it because it was one of those details that's at the bottom of the plan. And once we gave up that control, once we signed that half-cent proposal, Charlotte became a minority in what happens with Charlotte transportation, all the long-range planning for Charlotte. On the Metropolitan Transit Commission, there are the mayors of all the counties of Mecklenburg. Charlotte has a one-vote say, okay, against all the other counties. Now, Charlotte makes up 85% of Mecklenburg County's population. Charlotte makes up 85% of Mecklenburg County's tax base. CATS, Charlotte Area Transit System, is owned by the city of Charlotte. So how we got ourselves in a situation where we had a 1 in 7 vote for something that we own 85% of, and that we are 85% of the county, the tax base, we literally gave it up. And over the years of planning, because of the amendments to the 2025 plan, the 2030 plan, now I believe it's the 2050 plan, things got changed. At first, there was a blue line going to go here. It was underfunded. It stopped. The blue line was going to go there. The gold line was going to go here. Now, what I'm pretty sure a lot of people aren't aware of is that this MTC, this commission, the Metropolitan Transit Commission, can amend anything that it does with a majority vote. It does not require going to the ballots, going to the taxpayers. They can amend anything that they want to. So what you have now is you have a red commuter line that is getting ready to be planned into the city of Mooresville. Now, mind you, Mecklenburg County has 1.2 million people. Charlotte has 955,000, or as Councilwoman Mayfield likes to say, 1 million strong. Yes, we are 1 million strong in Charlotte. Mecklenburg County as a whole has 1.2 million people. So all the other counties combined make up less than 200,000 people. So what we're now forced to pay, 85% of this proposed tax plan, or $17 billion, is to fund a commuter line, commuter rail, that's going to go into northern Mecklenburg that is only going to serve parts of Mecklenburg County. Meanwhile, we're going to add some caravans for microtransit here in Charlotte, where we need this. So I don't know if anybody remembers back 20 years ago when let me go further back, when the buses used to line up on the square. After that, they built the transportation center. After that was when the MTC took over. And then everybody said, oh, the bus service sucks. Well, of course it sucks, because Charlotte was no longer in charge of it. It's now in control of the MTC. And with this new proposed tax plan, this 27-member new Metropolitan Public Transit Authority, MPTA, this authority, Charlotte will have, even though Councilwoman Mayfield says we'll have 9 seats, out of those 9 seats that Charlotte's going to have, 3 of them have to be approved by the Mecklenburg Board of County Commissioners, and they have to be a business entity that does business with the county. So basically, we're going to have a 6 in 27 say. I'm telling you, the devil is in the details of the PAVE Act. And what a lot of people aren't aware of is that 50% of the red line must be completed before any other projects are started. So the silver line, the gold line, no, it's not going to be started until 50% of this commuter train going into northern Mecklenburg. And if you look at who the mayors are, Huntersville, Davidson, Cornelius, you could see that we're outvoted. So that's why these plans are happening, and Charlotte's interests are not there. So,
great, thank you. Councilmember Watlington.
Thank you. So, as you've heard, there is quite a lot to consider. Be sure to put your eyes on it for yourself, and make sure that you are aware of what is in black and white, what the facts are, and what may just be conjecture. I'm an engineer, and I'm a neighborhood leader along one of the lines, who spent most of my time serving along one of the future lines, which is on the west side, West Boulevard, Wilkerson Boulevard, that will be tremendously impacted by a future Silver Line out to the airport, should that eventually come, which is a part of the plan. So it's very important to me to take a pragmatic, a progressive, and a professional approach to understand what are the issues, what are the facts about the legislation, and I'm listening. So to answer your question in short, I also, as Councilmember Mayfield has said, I'm still listening and collecting data. There are a number of things that the communities have said are important to them. Number one, making sure that the communities in the ETJ have strong connectivity to funding to make sure that there are what we call orphan roads, or roads that are not owned specifically by the city or the state or the county, are taken care of. We can do something about that in terms of an MOU strength. Also, when you talk about displacement that we know comes with the kind of investment that goes along with transit lines, particularly along these areas that are within our corridors of opportunity, we've got to make sure that we've got strong plans that make sense, that enable people to stay and live and age in their homes. When it comes to transit in general, we know that it's not just transportation, right? It's economic. And so how do we make sure that those who are impacted positively by the economics of this deal show and are representative of our community at large? We don't have a plan yet for that, and that's extremely important. So those are some of the things that I'm looking at as I continue to weigh my decision.
So we are running out of time, but I want to just ask one more quick question, and if we could do like really short answers, kind of in the 30-second range.
I'll try.
So I'll start with you, Councilmember Mayfield. Violent crime in Charlotte has dropped a lot in 2025 compared to 2024, but in Uptown, where we are now, there have been some high-profile incidents. People say they don't feel safe. Do you feel like the city, kind of the current strategy it's on is okay, or should there be like a task force convened? I mean, different measures. What are your thoughts?
I think we can always do better. I've had the opportunity to be around long enough to serve along with several chiefs. For me personally, Chief Monroe was one of our best chief of police because he had a community policing process. We were out in the neighborhoods. We had weekend community events. I have an officer now who has been in the community for 17 years. We've watched him grow up. I saw him National Night Out. He's getting ready to be transferred to South Boulevard. It makes a difference when we have relationship, when our officers live in community, when our officers know community. The city is growing fast. Yes, our numbers are down, but anyone that's been impacted by crime, crime is high. Crime is real. The other challenge is we have so many people moving here that unfortunately don't have a job, don't have family, don't have access, and they're coming for an opportunity to grow here, and that's leading to our unhoused community, that's leading to a number of other challenges. We can do better. I'm hoping that, honestly, council has an opportunity to be a part of the conversations with the hiring of the next police chief. We are a council manager form of government, so that is the manager's responsibility, but I think we have something that we might want to add as a body for who we're looking for in this role. Community policing, we have seen the positive impacts. We have seen the impact of supporting our alternative to violence organizations and our nonprofits. I would like to see our law enforcement work more closely with our nonprofit organizations, and I don't think we need to add any more guns or high weaponry. We do not need to be a city that is ready for war. We need to be a city that's focused on service and love, and we can do that.
Mr. Holly, just your response just is, in a 30 seconds or so, minute. What are your thoughts on public safety uptown?
My thoughts on public safety uptown, it sucks. I mean, sorry. I mean, it's honest God truth, like, literally, like, I say this in all my things, like, you get shot, somebody gets shot, you can shoot somebody at 9:30 and be home by 5:30, watch yourself on the news. I think they soft on that. Like, literally, like, you need to start, like, being more tough on, like, people, like, gun violence and stuff, because people, like, go to court, and because there's so much backlog and back records, they just let it ride and let it go. So, I mean, I got to try and answer this fast. But, like, even dealing with, like, where the shooting was at Imperial, the Club Imperial, like, it was like 9 cops around the corner, but you can't really hold them accountable for it because it's only 1,600 cops in Charlotte, 1 million people. So you got to get some more We work together with the law enforcement, federal agents, DAs, judges and stuff, and just start cracking down on more crime. So like I say, I always say Charlotte to be a no mess around town. So you come around here and mess around, you find out. So that's what I think.
Councilmember Watlington.
Thank you. We've got work to do. We understand that we've got great seeds in the ground. When it comes to the Safe Charlotte program, we've done tremendous investment in juvenile prevention and rehab centers with the Katie Blessing Center that's coming on board. We invested $2 million in that. We launched Alternatives to Violence, and we are expanding to other areas, including Nations Ford Road, as we speak. When we talk about investing and partnering with Mecklenburg County in our healthcare or hospital-based prevention programs, we are taking a community and public health approach to crime prevention and public safety, because at the end of the day, it really boils down to hope and opportunity. And until we can really help our people connect the dots to how they can come to a better life, there's always going to be that element of potential criminal activity here. But we've got to do more. We've got to continue to support our officers. We are glad to see that we are starting to close the gap with vacancies, but our officers are still very much overworked. They're very much stretched out in terms of coverage areas, so we have to continue to think about balanced ways to do that when it comes to our budget. And we've got to continue to invest in neighborhoods, because at the end of the day, there's no substitute for a strong neighborhood. We know that community efficacy is the most powerful weapon we have against crime.
And finally, as we wrap up, Mr. Lockhart.
Absolutely, I get it. There's some citizens who are concerned about their safety, and that's a problem, especially when you live uptown. I think that the problems that we have are not just with our citizens itself, but we have a lot of division amongst in our police department, as you know now, including our sheriff's department. We have to reimagine policing. We have to reimagine what we're doing as far as with our youth. We got a lot of young people that just want to burn off energy that are uptown getting in trouble. We've got a lot of police that are moving into our city that are bringing values that they had when they come from other cities. Again, Charlotte is a different place. I don't remember anything quite like this growing up here. We normally would get along. Uptown would be a place that we could all celebrate together. So I understand the people's concern, and I think we have to reimagine what we're doing with the current policing.
Great, thank you all very much. Thank you. All good? Yeah. Sure. Thank you, guys. So now we've got our second group of at-large candidates. Incumbent Dimple Ajmira. James Mitchell. Good to see James. We have Matt Britt and Namrata Dove. All right, so the main thing is we've got so many races and so many people. We'll try and keep things a little tight. And I will start, if everyone can give a very brief, just kind of introduction of themselves. We'll try and keep it to like 30 seconds or so. So I'll start with you, Matt Britt.
Thank you very much. I'm Matt Britt. I am a North Carolina native, and I'm running for city council at large. I chose to run as we are at a real turning point for our democracy. There's a lot we have going on nationwide for sure, and I think anybody who can run should, and I decided this was the right time for me, and I'm excited about the opportunity and to be on stage with all of these great people that are running. So I'm a dad of two girls. I'm a carpool dad. I'm a soccer coach. And I actually took my daughter home a couple of years ago. I took our goalie home and on Albemarle Road in District 5 for City Council, and took her home and dropped her off. And she got out of the car, and her apartment complex had trash literally falling out of every single dumpster in the entire apartment complex. And as she got out to go into her home where her family can't pick her up and get her to these games and things she needs to be at, it smelled like a landfill. I'm getting out to help her with her bag and send her off and wish her good luck. And that just, it floored me. I know there's a lot of issues like that, right? It's just an example. But literally taking out the trash is something we can solve here in Charlotte. That's an important issue. We need to be focused on what makes lives better for all of our communities, right? So I'm excited to be a part of that solution and look for ways to make our lives better, to give all of you and all of your families the Charlotte you deserve. I'm Matt Britt, and I'm running for City Council at large. Thank you.
I'm Namrata Yadav. I'm running for Charlotte City Council at large. I'm running because I think Charlotte needs a new voice and new leadership. We have all seen the headlines. We have seen the dysfunction. We have seen the infighting. And I think it's time we bring some professionalism and a high-functioning city council back to Charlotte. That's why I'm running. I have been with corporate America for 20 years, working in economic development and workforce development, and that's what I want to bring to the city and be able to do that at scale. My focus is going to be accountability. I think we need to hold our city council members accountable for the work they do, whether they're showing up, whether they're attending meetings, whether they're voting, what are they voting on, are they talking to you, are they responding to you? We need to start holding them accountable because I think as Democrats, we can do much, much better. I want business-driven solutions that work for our communities, and I want to continue investing in community engagement and community safety. Namrata Yadav.
Good evening. I'm Dimple Ajmera. I'm one of your at-large city council members. I'm honored to represent you on Charlotte City Council since 2017. I'm a working mother, accountant, and fighter. And I chair the budget committee on the Charlotte City Council. I went from cleaning motel rooms to help pay for college to managing multi-million-dollar budgets as certified public accountant at TIA Craft. And I bring that experience and background to the City Council. And I'm honored that we have been able to pass a $3.2 billion budget that does not raise property taxes, but invests in our affordable housing, infrastructure, our sustainability efforts without raising taxes. I'm proud to say that we have been able to deliver great results. At the end of the day, it is not what we say, but it's what we do that matters. So make sure you look at the track record of all the elected officials and the candidates that are running, because ultimately that's where the rubber meets the road. And I've always put community first. I have led with principles. I have voted my values. And I'll continue to do that if you give me an opportunity to serve you all another term on the Charlotte City Council. So keep it simple, vote for Dimple.
So Steve, how long do we have?
We'll try and keep it tight, but it's hard for me to, anyway.
Seconds.
Okay.
You go.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. James Smudger Mitchell. I currently serve on the Charlotte City Council at large. I'm a Charlotte native, byproduct of CMS school. I've been fortunate enough to be Vice Chair Economic Development, Vice Chair with Dimple Ajmera on BGIR. And my passion has always been affordable housing. We need to create one Charlotte instead of the two Charlottes we have right now. My passion has been minority participation, more minority and women-owned business to get more contracts to the city of Charlotte. And it's economic empowerment. I call those opportunities to continue to change, and so everybody have a good quality of life and have amenities around where they live, work, and play. My slogan is energy, experience, and results. And let me tell you why that's important. You got to have energy to get up every morning and provide public service to 894,000 citizens in the 14th largest city in America. You got to have experience. This city is facing some tough issues in the future. You need to have people on city council as you look at their experience and their level and how they have given back in the past. And last but not least, you look at the results. Every key issue in our great city, I've been a champion of. We want to do $100 million affordable housing. I raised my hand. We talk about more corridor opportunity. I raised my hand. Racial bias training for our police officers. I raised my hand. Nonprofits so important in this community, and I give credit to Ms. Ajmera. We put 3 nonprofits back in the budget that they were not in initially. Do your research, do your homework, and I pray that you'll give me a chance starting August 21st through September 9th to vote for James Smudger Mitchell. Thank you.
Councilmember Mitchell, I'll just keep it with you because we're going this way.
Okay.
We'll talk about the transit roads tax.
Yes.
It's on the ballot in November to increase the tax.
I'm a
sales tax.
supporter. Let me just.
There you go.
Being a Charlotte native, I remember it was 35,000 people in this city back in the early 60s. And now look where we are. I will say, I think we're talking about efficiency. Our bus system need to be more efficient. Right now, it's an hour and 15 minutes for you to get on the bus and get to your destination. We can do better. The passage of the transit sales tax will allow then the average ridership to be 30 minutes. We're talking about some of the bus stops we have. We don't have shuttle, we don't have benches. Passing this transit sales tax allows us to put investment into the bus shuttle. Then to me, it's about economic and development and economic empowerment. Now we can have a mass transit system allow you to have more economic and jobs opportunity in our community. And I hear some people say this is on the backs of those less fortunate. It's not. It's on the backs of all citizens in Charlotte, because if you do a sales tax transaction, that's who would pay for the sales transit tax. Let me thank the General Assembly for what they've done, the Mecklenburg County Commission for what they've done, but it's up to you, to the voters. We wanted to put this on the ballot and educate you on how this can change our 14th largest city in America. We're going to be at 1 million people in almost 2 years. I want y'all to think about that. And every great city in front of us, they have a true public system that connects different modes of transportation. So I hope I didn't offend anyone, but you know where I stand. I'm going to be a yes vote, and hope you'll be a yes vote in November.
Councilmember Ajmira?
Well, James started us off the right foot here. I'm also a supporter of public transportation system, and I will be supporting this bond referendum that's on our ballot. This is deeply personal to me. I'm a product of public transportation. Our family didn't own a car for many years when we first immigrated here. We relied on public buses to get to work, to get to school, and everything in between. It provided our families a pathway to upward mobility. And I'm committed to ensuring that it does for other families. There are so many families that do not own a car. Currently, our system, it is not efficient, it is not effective. It takes 45 minutes to get from point A to point B. To be the 14th largest city in America, almost 1 million population, we cannot afford to continue operating like the way we are. We've come a long way. This transit discussion has been going for 5 years. This is first time we have an opportunity from General Assembly to put this on the referendum. So again, let's look at the results. What your current council member, what your current council and the mayor has been able to deliver. It is the results that you gotta look at. When you look at the red line, this has been a project that was supposed to be delivered decades ago. Finally, we are so close to delivering that because we have now partnership with Norfolk Southern. So when we look at all of this, you have to look at what your city council has been doing to deliver. We are investing heavily in our sidewalks because this transit referendum that will be on your ballot does not only invest in our public transit, it also expands our roads. 40% of the money is going towards roads. You know, I hear every day from Charlotteans that there is congestion and traffic issue throughout the city, no matter what corner of the city I'm in. Let's do something about it. This gives us an opportunity to do something about it. So I hope that you would support it. This is once in a generational opportunity, but at the same time, hold us accountable to deliver on the projects that we are promising. Thank you.
I'm going to stick to your time guideline. I am for it. I don't think it's perfect. I think we as a council should ensure people sitting on the commission are transit riders. We need to make sure that there is accountability and all of us, voters, know exactly where the money is being spent. I commit to do town halls and ensuring that you have that information. And we need to ensure whoever is getting and doing the work, the contracts, are people from our communities.
So, yeah, unique here. I'm going to say I support it as well. So I've said it multiple times. I absolutely think the time is now for transportation improvements across this city. So we need the improvements. We need the opportunity to invest in our roads. We understand how challenging the roads are for all of our citizens. I rode the rail in tonight. So, you know, thinking about how we can improve that and provide more rail for the northern part of the county and into Lake Norman, I think is important. Anybody who's ever tried to drive on 77 past Lake Norman knows exactly what I'm talking about. So there's absolutely a huge opportunity. We've talked a little bit about the investments. You know, they're often, you know, I've heard JG in multiple conversations talk about the 17.5, it's actually more like $19.4 billion over the next 30 years that are going towards a rail. Well, that's 40% of that money is going towards a rail. 40% of it is going towards roads, and that's something we can continue to improve with new sidewalks and all sorts of opportunities. And we also, I know it's been talked about, but the Better Bus program is going to be a big piece of that. How do we make the buses run more effectively? How do we make them more appealing? How do we improve ridership? I think that's a huge opportunity. And while I know there's opportunity to look at record, I think we need new voices. I think we need new understanding. I think we need new ideas. And I think you should look at the record. I absolutely think you should look at the records. We have a concern across the city in every pocket that I've visited and every group that I've talked to with the way things are currently running. We need to look at opportunities to improve them. Just look at the news. It's pretty simple, folks. It's not really hard research. So thank you.
So I'm going to try to do one more quick question here. Keep everybody's answers to like a minute or so. I think we'll start with you, Councilmember Ajmira. Last year, the City Council approved the $650 million deal to renovate Bank of America Stadium. Do you feel like, were there things about that process that could have gone better?
Absolutely, and that was one of the reasons that I did not support it. I demanded transparency and accountability throughout that process. The council did not have a copy of the term sheet, which I requested multiple times. We did not have a contract in place, so I made a motion to, in fact, bring the contract back for us to review, but I was in the minority. You know, Steve, for me, when you look at the largest investment in the city's history, a $650 million ask, the largest we ever had in the city's history. For me, it was not about politics, it was about principles. Someone who pays attention to details, someone who is an accountant, I had to look at the details. I had to look at where our money is going in terms of what terms we are agreeing to. So for me, that process was not transparent, and that's why I couldn't support it. I thought about it. I just couldn't get my conscience to support it. And if elected, I would continue to bring that voice of transparency to every decision that we make on the City Council.
As a voter, so I wasn't in that room, but as a voter, it gave me pause. I don't think the process was transparent. I don't think the process has been transparent in some of the backroom deals that we have had, whether it's the Jennings case. So I do think as voters, we should have more information. And I think, Steve, this is something the media needs to be doing. You need to demand that accountability from all elected officials, whether it's how are decisions being made, are we sharing it with our voters? I mean, ethically, are council members receiving city grants to buy properties and purchasing houses? You need to find that out. Are these publicly disclosed? You need to find out, are they attending the meetings? And if they are not, that's a problem. I've done a whole research around attendance, and I can share this with anybody. The last 1 year, I went through all the meetings that are available online, and 2 of our at-large members barely made it 50% of the times, or they were late. And if that is what is happening, how does effective governance happen? That means they're not speaking up for you in those community meetings. So I do think, Steve, this is on you guys to be putting accountability back to the council and our leadership.
Mr. Britt, quickly.
Thank you, Steve. Yeah, I answered this question a few times related to the Tepper deal. Listen, I have respect for these government officials that had to make these decisions. I understand there's a challenge with transparency and how do we continue to improve that and how we're communicating with our citizens about how these deals will work. But I also think that we need to understand that these deals are hard, and I think it's easy for the public to not gather how important some of these kinds of things are. When you're looking at an entity like the Carolina Panthers and everything that they've brought and that Tepper has brought from economic development to our city, it is hard to say no to somebody like that and risk the opportunity to not be able to keep them here with us and continue to grow our city. I promise you, Carolina Panthers and David Tepper decide to go somewhere else, which has happened a few times in the history of professional sports, you will see a massive decline in our economy here in Charlotte. So while I understand the need for transparency, I want to fully acknowledge the need for deals like these and to continue to, be thoughtful about them and strategic.
Definitely, Steve, and citizens, I could tell you, we could have did a better job on making sure it was related to the committee and spent more time with town hall meetings informing the citizens what we're trying to accomplish. But I support, I'm going to tell you why. It's not about the Panthers, it's about two franchises we have. One is MLS soccer, and the other is the Carolina Panthers. It's about 4,000 jobs it currently generates for our community. It's about branding Charlotte as one of the 14th largest city with professional sport. But the first deal that came to us, I said no. It asked for $650 million and only 12% minority participation. I said we have to do better for our community. So I voted for the $650 million with 27% minority participation. So quick translation, that's $175 million we're gonna spend with minority business in the city of Charlotte. Never in the history have we put that much money into small businesses. I'm a small business advocate, and I wanted to make sure that those two professionals teams stayed in Charlotte, but more important, small businesses, women-owned businesses. You are the fastest growing business in our community that you get an opportunity to participate.
Great. Thank you all very much. We got to bring on the next group, but thank you guys for taking the time. So next we're going to bring up City Council candidates 1 and 3. So for City Council District 3, we have Joy Mayo, Warren Turner, and for City Council District 1, incumbent Dante Anderson and Charlene Henderson. I can ask you guys to make an introductory statement because we're running behind a little bit. Try and keep it kind of short. I will start with you, Ms. Mayo.
Yeah, hi, I'm Joy Mayo. I am a former CMS teacher, a neighborhood leader, and the founder of Transforming Nations Forward, a community development nonprofit working to expand and bring opportunities, investment, and safety to Nations Forward Corridor. I've seen firsthand how policy decisions can either empower or ignore neighborhood with Nations Forward, and I'm excited to bring the same energy and dedication that I do in my neighborhood district-wide. So over the years, I've worked closely with the West Boulevard Neighborhood Coalition, Still Creek Residents Association, really doing the work with neighbors, which I think is so important, that we're empowering the communities that know the issues that they're facing so that they can be part of the solution. So I'm hoping that I will soon be the District 3 representative for Charlotte City Council. So check out my website, joy4charlotte.com.
Mr. Turner.
Oh, thank you. My name is Warren Turner. I'm a Charlottean. I grew up in Steer Creek area. I grew up off in a community called Ramblewood. I went to Sterling Elementary School and J. Mason Smith Junior High School on Tavola, and I'm a proud graduate of Olympic High School. Go Trojans. So I wanted you to know that because I've been a public servant for a very long time. I've been an advocate for our seniors and our young people, but most importantly, when I was growing up in Steer Creek, if you haven't lived here in Charlotte, and I appreciate Brother Lockhart, uptown was called the Square. And if you're not from Charlotte and you haven't been here over 50 years, you wouldn't know that. And I meet a lot of people that say, I'm from Charlotte. And I say, where's the Square? They don't know where the Square is because they're not from Charlotte. But that's no problem. I want to talk about our history. The history is that I grew up in an area where there were farms, it was cow, and milk dairies. And you had the Wingate family, you had the Johnson Pig Farm, you had the Board family, you had the Price family, and you had Al Wingate, which is, we have a park named after the Wingate family, and also today, Mecklenburg County Park and Rec occupy his farm as well as his property in his house. And I thank God for that because we have a history now of tearing down our history. So I'm running for city council. I served this city for 8 years as city council. I was the chairman of public safety. I was also vice chair of transportation. So I understand that question about the first 92 miles that I oversee that started at 485 and came up up South Boulevard to uptown today. That was part of my job. And I had the great pleasure of working with City Manager Pam Seifert, who I think is one of the greatest city managers in our history. And I also served with Pat McCrory. And I see some other folk in here that was on that council. But we have a lot of work to do. And my greatest concern is that we are making housing unaffordable for our seniors to stay here, but not just our seniors, but for our young people to be able to move back to Charlotte and have a place to live and have a job. Now, we talk about growth, but my concern, again, is that we have not put in the infrastructure, but we push growth, and we're pushing sprawl. We're tearing down our trees. They are building somewhere on every corner. So those are things that I have great concern about, and most of all, we'll add on top of that, and you will hear me talk about it. I hope Steve get to that question tonight about crime. Thank you.
Councilmember Anderson.
Thank you, and hello, everyone. Good evening. And my name is Dante Anderson. I'm the Mayor Pro Tem of City of Charlotte, and I represent District 1, and welcome to District 1. You're sitting in District 1 right now. I'm a Charlotte native, born and raised. I was actually born in District 1, born in Charlotte Memorial Hospital. I was CMS educated in CMS schools in District 1. And so District 1 has played a vital part of my development from a young person to becoming the person who sits in front of you today. I am running on a platform of opportunity, and there are 3 tenets to my platform. The first is an opportunity to earn a more livable wage, because we all know it starts with economics, right? That's where it all begins. The second piece is the opportunity to access housing that's more affordable. It doesn't matter how much money you make, whether you make a lot of money or a little bit of money. If you're paying more than 30% of your earned income for your housing, you're paying too much. And so an affordability perspective is a very individual, personal thing. What's affordable to me may not be affordable to you, Steve. And so we have to make sure we're bringing the right mix of housing units online for everyone up and down the AMI. And the third piece of my platform is the opportunity to live and thrive in safer communities. And safety, public safety, does not necessarily equate to CMPD or the Sheriff's Department. Safety is a whole community effort. So we need our officers to do their jobs, and CMPD is doing a great job. They have released their mid-year numbers, and it says crime is down across the board by double digits. That doesn't negate the crime that we feel. If crime happens to me, crime is up 1,000%. It's very personal, right? And so we want to make sure that we have the right solution, a whole community solution towards addressing crime. There's some other things that I'd like to share about that as well, but I don't want to take up all the time, Steve. And I'll just close by saying I've served District 1 for the last 2 terms. This is my first term being the Mayor Pro Tem. I'm the very first district rep in the history of Charlotte City Council to serve as Mayor Pro Tem, and my colleagues saw it fit to put me in that position, which I'm very humbled by. And so I'm excited to continue the great work that we've done in District 1, to build upon it and to continue it through the next term and forward. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. My name is Charlene Henderson, and yes, I am a candidate for District 1. I am a mother, I am a grandmother, and I am a small business owner. And so I come to you not as just a candidate, but as a citizen just like you. I'm just a regular old person who's looking for the opportunities as well. I'm just a regular old person who's just wanting to make sure that my streets are safe in my community. So I ask you to just tap me in, because number one, I'm running on transparency, accountability, and a proven record of leadership from a community standpoint. We have a lot of Ivy Leagues. We have a lot of engineers. We have so many individuals who are helping to run this city, but I always say, if we can look back 10 years in your community, in your neighborhood, and your neighborhoods and communities are still the same, well, guess what? We have an issue. We have a problem. And so I don't come to you saying that I'm the smartest person in the room, but I come to you with a common sense approach. And those are some of the things that we're missing. And so that's why I'm running, because I want us to start being at the table with individuals who make a decision for us. And we're not having an opportunity to have a voice. And those are the things that I really want you to really look at. We talk about public safety, definitely. We're talking about crime. We're talking about, even in my community, I'm still in District 1 where we're looking at the crime, the drugs, the violence, the prostitution. And we keep talking about a world-class city, but there's two tails to this city. And we need to make sure that we tap into those two tails. And if you're as smart as I am, you see that we have a whole lot of work to do. But if we come together collectively and be able to have a voice down there at that dais, then we're going to be able to make some differences. So that's it in a nutshell for me. I'm just like you, but I want to see different results.
So I want to ask about the airport contract workers. Earlier this year, City Council considered an effort to send a committee to improve the working conditions for roughly 600 or 700 workers at the airport. The motion failed. There was some concern about the city overstepping its legal ability to dictate wages. There was some concern about pushback from Raleigh, but this issue could come up again. And I wanted to ask how you would vote if it does come up again, and if your answer is no, what needs to happen to have that discussion? I'll start with you, the Mayor Pro Tem.
Well, first and foremost, it won't come up again, not in the form that it came up, because it was voted down, right? And so that's just the way council works. If there's a motion and it fails, you can't simply just continue to reintroduce the same motion. However, what I would say is certainly the city of Charlotte cares about workers. I certainly care about workers, and wage workers are the backbone of the city of Charlotte. We know that. And so there are a few ways that Charlotte City Council can help to walk alongside the workers at the airport. The first piece is around work environment. Everyone has the right, a federal right, a state right, and a local right to safe working conditions, to a safe environment. And so if that is not occurring, and of course we've had conversations with the union as well as the airlines, Charlotte City Council can push to ensure that that is occurring. That's the first piece. The second piece is around affordability, because we pull the levers as it relates to housing and transportation and some other services that you pay for that you might not even know about, like your solid waste services and your water rates, right? And so to the extent that we could be great stewards of ensuring that affordability is low and we maintain affordability, that gives more discretionary dollars into wage workers' pockets that they can either spend on their family or they can save it. And the third piece is competition. Competition, quite often, especially in a capital environment, reveals shortcomings or it creates opportunity. And so for those workers at the airport, or any worker who feels like they're not making the right amount of wages, hourly wages, and their work environment is different, we can introduce competition. Competition in terms of attracting new companies and different companies that those workers can go and earn a more livable wage. Competition in terms of rolling out workforce development programs that those workers can access, gain skills without having a 2 or 4 year degree, to then in turn go and get a better paying job. When you have that type of environment, all companies want to retain their employees. And so you'll see that competition within a workforce environment will raise the tide for all parties.
Ms. Henderson?
So when we talk about supporting our union workers and airport workers, I wholeheartedly support those individuals because, number one, they're barely running on fumes. I mean, barely. They have working conditions that are not workable conditions. And I would suggest that you look at the voting record of those individuals who have voted it up and voted it down. So I wholeheartedly say that union workers are the ones who really have the backbone of our communities when it comes down to the airport. And it's so important that we understand that, yes, it sounds good, we talk a great game, but it's all about implementation. And I definitely would like to make sure that we look at those things. I cannot express enough to you, please always check behind anyone, any council member, about how they're voting, and that way you'll be more informative when it comes down to different entities. And we definitely want to make sure that these livable wages become very livable, and let's start challenging the General Assembly or advocating for a better life for anyone that lives in this city.
Ms. Mayo?
Yes, so as a former teacher, I'm a big fan of a rubric, and you may remember your school days. So I think we need to go back to looking at contracts for any city-owned property or city building. I think we can be more thoughtful of the front end of how we are doing the different bids. With the rubric that I would be encouraging, I would have it weighted toward first, organization and companies that are paying the minimum wage that the city has set, which is $23. Another part of my rubric that would be weighted heavily would also be encouraging companies and individuals who live within Mecklenburg County. So I think we need to take care of home first. I don't think we need to continue to give sources of income to places out of state. So I think we need to be thoughtful of our contracting. And lastly, my rubric would have a heavy weight as well to minority and women small businesses. So I think being thoughtful in the front end, and as a teacher, that's something we're always working on. How am I eliminating potential issues by doing the work and being thoughtful in the beginning? So I think that goes back to the contracts, making sure we're hiring the right organizations that are sharing the same values that we say we hold dear. Then we should implement that with our contracts.
Mr. Turner?
Thank you. I think the question was centered around the airport employees. And I think we're talking about the elephant in the room is American Airlines. I think, first of all, we need to understand that the city of Charlotte, those employees are not city of Charlotte employees. But that does not excuse or remove the fact that the citizens, you all, we own the Douglas International Airport, that it belongs to the city. So the working conditions in there belongs to the city. If we're talking about working conditions and the environment of working conditions, the city should have some say-so, and they do. The director of the airport also reports to the city manager. So from that standpoint, that's something we should directly be involved in. Now, American Airlines is the largest airlines in the world. They're a hub in Charlotte. They employ over 200,000 employees, okay? Regional. They're not just local, but it's a regional. So when you start talking about that impact, they pay us for takeoff and landing fees. They pay us for coming in our airport. And they pay us on taxes and fuel taxes. So they're a huge engine, okay? But that does not remove the fact that if their working conditions are bad, that responsibility falls on the city of Charlotte. We need to make sure that all the conditions on our property at our airport are good working conditions. Now, I want to also conclude with that by saying that when we start talking about, you also alluded to, and I think he was talking about the bill coming back up from the state. You know, they tried to take our airport once before. Now, ladies and gentlemen, that is a dangerous move. I heard you talk about transportation in regards to that, Steve, but I would say to you that I have the same concern about a Metropolitan Transit Authority coming over and losing cats. And I hate I didn't get that question, but hopefully you can go on my site and I'll give you that in a minute. So I want to make sure that we understand this. if it does come up again, we have to be prepared. Now, are we putting ourselves in that situation because we're bickering about, do we have the authority to intervene in a private company? Should we be telling them what to pay their employees? Well, we don't listen to the citizens of Charlotte ourselves when we come down to our employees. We just raised our rate for city employees to $23. Think about our sanitation workers. They work in the cold weather, rain, sleet, or snow. They get your garbage. Street maintenance folk, they repair your streets. Whether it's raining, sleet, snow, they out there. And we forget that. The guys that collect your yard waste, you know? They see snakes. They, you know, we don't think about that. And then when we hear them come before us, it took us this long to get to a decent living wage in our own city for our own employees. I think we have to be an example. We lead by being an example. We made a good move, this council did, and I thank them for doing that. I don't mind spending my taxpayers to make sure that our employees are being taken care of that serve us. And don't ever forget this. Your water, sewer, all those are user fees. You pay a fee. You pay a fee. And we need to make sure that when you pay that fee, that you're getting the service that you get. I hope that they resolve that matter. I don't believe that the city of Charlotte should be directly involved in talking about wages, but I do believe that we should lend those employees an ear to make sure that that working environment is something that we can control. That is our responsibility. Thank you.
All right, thank you all very much. I've got to bring on the next group because we're running out of time, so I'm sorry. Sorry. So anyway, I thank you guys for coming out, and we're going to do next districts 4 and 5. We're doing 6 next? Okay, I'm sorry. District 6. Oh, wherever you'd like to be, it's fine. Okay, so we have been hearing tonight from Democrats, and this is the one Republican primary on the ballot in September for District 6 in South Charlotte. We've got here next to me is Krista Bakari, and she is running against Sari Chakra.
It's pronounced Sari Chakra.
I'm sorry.
That's okay. That's all right.
So I'll let you guys start and just introduce yourselves and tell us why you're running.
Sure.
My name is Krista Bakari. As Steve said, I am running for District 6. I am a wife, a mother of 3, a working mother of 3, in fact. I had to cut out of my children's back-to-school night tonight to get here, and I'm happy to be here, so thanks for having me. I've been a strong community advocate for District 6 for the last 20 years. In doing so and providing strong leadership, I've learned how city government works. And I'm hoping to continue that leadership and grow and build on that and provide District 6 the type of leader they deserve. Thank you.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for having me tonight. My name is Sari Chakra. Pronunciation is key. I tell everyone it's Gary with an S. Funny enough, hopefully you guys have seen some of my signs, but funny enough, you know, we've been door knocking, me and my team, and people will come to the door and say, you know, I saw your sign, I see your name, I don't know how to pronounce it. So then again, Gary with an S, please, everyone trying to remember that, and I will correct anyone so to remember that. So a little about myself, I'm a Charlottean, born and raised here. I am a son of immigrants. My parents immigrated to this country in the mid-'80s. And right here to the Queen City, the crown jewel of the South. I love Charlotte. I'm very passionate about it. And it's given so much, not just to me, but to my family, opportunity, privileges. You know, they came from a country, a beautiful country, of course, but it didn't provide security. And when you want to raise a family and you want to have successful businesses, you go somewhere, and you go somewhere that's the best, and that's the United States of America, and it happened they came to Charlotte. So why I'm running is, I'm a product of CMS as well. Very proudly, I say that. After public school, I attended East Carolina University, and after ECU, I came back to Charlotte. I started my career here. I started a business here, and you know, being here since 2015 is when I moved back. I've always kept up with local politics. I was always big on history class. I was in debate team in high school. I majored in criminal justice. So I always wanted to contribute back to the community. I just didn't have the opportunity to do so. Now at my age, with a business I have already created, I have the opportunity to run, and seeing what's conspired in City Hall the past 6 to 8 months really made me want to say, you know what, I want to run because I think I can possibly do it better. And that's okay, because that's what makes this country beautiful. When you don't agree with something, you stand up and you try and do something yourself. And it's the people's vote, so the people will select. Thank you.
I'll start with you, Mr. Chakra, about,
Yes, sir.
About the transit tax.
Sure.
It's going to be on the ballot to raise it to 8.25%. A couple of parts I want to ask. One, will you be voting for it? And two, do you feel like District 6 is getting enough investment from the plan overall?
That's an excellent question, and I'll answer it by saying this. You know, as Republicans, you know, the last thing we want is to raise taxes. However, I will say that as a Charlottean, I think it's necessary. I think infrastructure in the city is necessary, especially investments in it. The transit tax, I mean, as people stated before us, former council members and people running, 40% will go towards the rail, 40% will go towards, you know, infrastructure, streets, sidewalks, and 20% will go towards, you know, micro stuff like, you know, bus shelters and hopefully bike lanes. So yes, I will be voting for it, and that is why I think we need it. Now, I say this because your second question was about District 6. Will District 6 see as much? Possibly not. Not as much as the remainder districts, but you have to remember that I'm sitting on a council with the entirety of Charlotte. So I really not just look into my constituents in District 6, which are very important, but I look at Charlotte as a whole. So yes, I will be voting in favor.
Okay, so, you know, as a Republican, do I want to raise taxes on our overtaxed city? No, I do not. Do I recognize that there are infrastructure improvements needed and we need to have a transportation plan that'll bring us into the future? Absolutely. The problem is that our city leaders have spent more time trying to convince you about this tax and why this tax should be on the ballot than they have on the plan. Is District 6 going to see enough improvements from the money that's coming in? We don't know. That is yet to be seen. So I do think that is the problem right now. We don't have a comprehensive plan. Our overall, my children are waving at me. Sorry, they distracted me there. The plan has not been baked yet, and that is the problem. We need to have oversight. We need to make sure we have transparency. That is going to be paramount. So I want to see what is going to be happening over the next 3 months before I decide how I'm going to vote. Like I said, transparency is going to be at the top of my mind in this, and we cannot be having backdoor conversations, friends on the committees that are making the important decisions, and this transportation tax has to benefit the entire city. So I will be there to provide that transparency.
Violent crime has fallen in the city in the past year, but here in Uptown, there have been several high-profile shootings and stabbings. A lot of people say they don't feel safe. What direction should the city take to address that?
Absolutely. I mean, I think the problem with the stats are we can make numbers say whatever we want them to say. Crime is a problem in Charlotte. Make no doubt about that. We have sections of Charlotte that aren't even reporting the crimes that are happening. So the numbers that we are seeing are very low, probably based on what the reality is. We have got to stop covering up what is happening in the city. We need to pull the blanket up, put a magnifying glass on what is happening, and get to work on real solutions. We have a problem with juvenile crime, repeat criminals in this city. We have got to go to the General Assembly and ask for the funding to reopen a juvenile detention center so we can rehabilitate the youth of Charlotte. We are also needing to look at reasons that this is happening. We have to start working with our school board and getting these kids back in school where they belong so they understand that there is another path to their future.
Could you please repeat the question?
Violent crime has fallen in Charlotte in the past year, but here in Uptown, there have been several high-profile shootings and other violent crime. And what should the city do to address that?
That's a good question. I have family that resides in Uptown. I have a brother that lives in Uptown, and just 2 days ago we were talking. He's like, man, I don't really feel safe walking around like Romare Bearden at night anymore. We used to hang out Uptown all the time. When I moved back from ECU, that's when the epicenter was still a thing, and it was fun. It was fun. But you're right. Recently, from last year, the rates have dropped, but this past July, we've seen some bad things. However, I will say I think our city is moving in the right direction. We do have programs now in the works. I think the first respondent with drones is one of them. I think that's really cool. Community policing. And my opponent brings a great point. I think, going to the school board is great. Introducing what our first responders do to children at a younger age is actually very, very beneficial. So I think we're moving in the right direction. I would advocate more for that, and that's what I would do.
I'll come back with
Sure.
you. The city council last year voted to spend $650 million to renovate Bank of America Stadium.
Right.
If you had been on the council then, how would you voted, for one? And then would you have done anything different in the process along the way?
That's a really good question too. I was not involved to know all the details of the deal. However, I do know that Bank of America and the Panthers, Carolina Panthers, and now the MLS team do contribute a lot to this city. They do provide jobs, businesses, hotels, restaurants, bars, everything. It brings in and generates a lot of money. So I would say I think I would have voted yes, only because I know what they do for our city. That business itself generates so much money. So I would have voted yes.
Yeah, again, that's a hard one, especially for a Republican.
Yeah,
it was a heavy lift, and I would have to say, without getting into the details, I don't like to answer questions unless I am in the details and understanding what's going on. But overall, from what I saw, I would have to say that I would have likely ended up voting for it because of the economic impact. If you look at the numbers in hospitality and tourism, it brings and generates a lot of money for our city, jobs, and buzz for our city. That is a big deal. That will end up bringing businesses here and travel here. So that is important to the overall economic impact of Charlotte. So
I've got time for one more. I want to talk about housing. District 6 does not have a lot of affordable housing. Is that something that the city needs to try and move forward to bring more low-income housing or affordable housing to South Charlotte?
I mean, affordable housing is obviously an issue across Charlotte. We have thrown hundreds of millions of dollars at this problem, and we still have not made a dent in it. I think that what the city really needs to start looking at is ways that they can do that without burdening the taxpayer. We have to start looking at ways to cut the red tape. The city, within their processes and in their permitting and everything else, they are adding about 30% to the cost of each home once it's built. That is passed on to your renter, it's passed on to the homeowner. That is making our homes unaffordable. Do I think we need more in District 6? I think we need to look at the problem, but I absolutely, what I'm seeing is, we throw these crazy ideas out of changing the single-family zoning laws, and it never actually created more housing, more affordable housing. In fact, it's raised the price of housing, if anything. So I think we need reasonable, not wide-sweeping policy to tackle this problem.
So when it comes to District 6, I think most people automatically think Myers Park, like Queens Road, like those areas. People always forget about Lansdowne, Sardis Oaks, Crown Point. So we have neighborhoods in District 6 outside of the wealthier neighborhoods. So yeah, I would say that District 6 needs to look at affordable housing in certain areas. There's other neighborhoods in that district, and everyone deserves to be in areas they want to be in. So yeah, I would look into ways to further that. I would look into ways to where we can come to the table and have people there. Yeah, absolutely.
Great. That's all the time we have. We're running a little bit behind, but thank you guys so much.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you very much. Thank you.
So next we're going to combine districts 4 and 5. You sit wherever.
Thank you. Thank you.
Up close and personal.
Thank you.
I feel like I'm at Six Flags when they strap you in.
Right?
All right, great. So we've got 2 districts here. We're back to the Democratic primary. We've got District 4, incumbent Renee Johnson, her challenger Will Russell, and then District 5, incumbent Marjorie Molina, and her challenger J.D. Masuera Arias. Let you guys give a kind of an introductory statement about yourself. We'll try and keep it kind of tight, but we'll start with you, Ms. Johnson.
Thank you, Steve. My name is Renee Johnson, Renee Perkins Johnson, and I have the honor and the pleasure of serving District 4 on the Charlotte City Council since 2019. Since 2019, I've had a platform in 3 areas: equitable housing, and that doesn't just mean affordable housing. While I am an affordable housing advocate, it also means protecting property values in District 4. Strategic and responsible development. We know there's explosive growth in the city. So I believe that we should be strategic and responsible in the development and not be afraid to challenge development and unchecked development in the city, and really push back to and raise the standards for development, which is why I've worked with our community and been known to really challenge developers and raise the standard. And also public accountability. And I've run on those 3 things since 2019, and I've delivered on those. So that's why I'm running. I am a nonprofit founder. I'm the founder of a peer support organization which provides behavioral health services to individuals who are recovering from addiction, suffering from behavioral health challenges, and I'm also an advocate for brain injury survivors. So I work in the community, and I understand the needs, and I know that with all of this explosive developments, there are people that are affected. So we truly have to balance in the city and not allow individuals to be displaced. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Will Russell. I am a husband, a father, a man of God. I've been in Charlotte for over 20 years, and for 20 years I've lived in District 4, where I've become a leader, working on things like the Charlotte Mecklenburg Planning Commission. I worked in the Immigration Task Force, and I've worked in my neighborhood, where I founded the Prosperity Village Area Association, where we work with our neighbors to make sure that we are watching development, keeping our streets clean, and generally making it a nice place to live. Over the past 10 years, my work in Charlotte has brought me across a number of people, and I've been able to see the vitality and the vibrancy of our district. and I want to continue that work. We need change. There are a lot of things that are going on in District 4 from a development perspective that, quite frankly, need some help. And I want to bring my expertise as a construction professional, one who builds affordable housing, where I am solving our city's affordable housing problem one unit at a time, fully to bear, so that we're not only building affordable housing, but we're building an affordable city for all who choose to live here. Thank you.
Man, that's hard to come behind. Good evening, everyone. I am Marjorie Molina. I am a North Carolina native. I have lived in Charlotte, North Carolina since 2004. I'm a mother to Kaylee and Jaden, 2 teenagers, one at UNC Charlotte Early College of Engineering and one at Northwest School of the Arts, graduating this year. My children have been raised their entire lives in the city of Charlotte. I moved to Charlotte in 2004 to take a position in risk management for Citibank. I managed a portfolio of 4 regional offices for bilingual agents for the bank. I got married here and raised my family, started a small business, 2 brick and mortar small businesses here in Charlotte. One is still operational. I've a graduate of Leadership Charlotte, Class 42, FBI Citizens Academy, served on the Equitable Development Commission for the City of Charlotte. I was appointed by the Mecklenburg County Commission to a board. I mean, I've served our community extensively for the entirety of my time living here in Charlotte as not only an executive, but a business owner. I have a Master of Science in Management from the Belk College of Business. I've actually been certified in project management, business analysis, and data analytics. I'm a 2-term council member, and I am absolutely a proven leader that has delivered for East Charlotte, and I'm running for a 3rd term to continue the work that we've began and will continue in East Charlotte.
Thank you. Good evening. My name is Juan Diego Masuera Arias, but most of you know me as JD. I am a son of East Charlotte, but my story didn't start there. My story started when my parents migrated from Colombia when I was just 8 months old, and we've made East Charlotte our home since 2001. I'm a proud product of our public schools. I went to Idaho Elementary, Randolph Middle, East Meck High. Go Eagles, if anybody is there. Good. And I also attended Queen's University of Charlotte on a full ride and studied political science. I also went to DC, worked for 2 years there on Capitol Hill and national think tanks, crafting policy and understanding the mechanisms that it takes to write good policy, helping fund HBCUs, combating Black maternal health and making it more equitable for Black women, working on immigration, housing policy, and public transportation. And then I went on a full ride as a Bloomberg Public Policy Service Fellow at NYU Wagner to study public administration, learning the ins and outs of how city government works, how local municipal structures and systems impact everyday folks. And I came back to Charlotte to give back to the community that raised me. I ran not because it was my next step, or because I wanted a fancy title on my resume. I ran because I spoke to over 150 District 5 East Charlotte residents that said that they weren't pleased with their current representation, that transparency was not there, communication with constituents was not there, closed-door deals were happening, and we didn't have responsive and communicative representation. I'm running because this is my home. I'm a son of East Charlotte. I love East Charlotte. I grew up there. My mom worked her entire life uplifting Latino-owned small businesses in the district. My dad, a construction worker who oftentimes faced misclassification and wage theft with his former undocumented status. I'm running to give District 5 residents a voice in City Council and to bring back the power of City Council to District 5. Thank you.
So I'll start with Mr. Russell. Earlier this year, the City Council, there was a controversial settlement with Police Chief Johnny Jennings for $305,000. And the city's position was that it was not a public document, and then Chief Jennings did later release it. And my question is, moving forward as a council member, these type of settlements are probably going to come up again in some form or another. As a council member, would you want the recipient to kind of agree ahead of time to disclose it to the public and make it a public record as kind of a condition for it moving forward?
Yeah, that's a great question. We do need transparency, and we have to be careful with that because it is a personnel record. And so there are certain laws that you have to adhere to when you're talking about personnel records and settlements. Now, if both parties, the city and the person who's receiving the settlement, agree, then I don't see the harm in that because everybody knows what they're getting into. But we want to make sure that we're thoughtful about that because, as you can see, we've had leaks before. We need to make sure that we're protecting the integrity of the process, but also providing as much information as we can.
Councilmember Johnson?
What's the question?
Well, I'm asking, there was the settlement with Police Chief Jennings, and there was a debate in the city as to whether the actual settlement itself was a public document. And the city, my question is, moving forward as a council member, would you require the employee or the person receiving the settlement to kind of agree that it's a public document and that if they're going to receive a settlement, that they put it out in the public and agree that it be made public?
No. I think if someone is suing, if they're harmed in some type of way, you wouldn't require that public exposure for them to speak up. If there's been some type of injustice, then no, I wouldn't require that. I mean, there are, I'm an advocate for public accountability. You know that. So we do, as a city, need to be more transparent legally where we need to be more transparent. But if you're a victim of, and this is outside of this settlement, if you're a victim of sexual harassment or something, or EEOC or something where you're suing, then I don't think there should be that leverage or that required plea, if you will, for someone to seek justice for themselves. So no, I wouldn't support that.
Councilmember Molina?
That is a very detailed question. I wish it was yes or no. I think some of what both of them have said would be applicable, right? I mean, in this particular case, we were dealing with a personnel matter. And so just like any one of us in this room, with regards to personnel issues, those things are protected by state law. And so that was the challenge. I can only speak for myself, but, knowing my colleagues, I would also say that, especially for the ones in the room, there are many who would be open to transparency, and I'm one of them. I like to do my business by email or by phone, where I can query it and make sure that if you contacted me, I can go right back to it. If you called me, I can go right back to it, so that we can have a record of that exchange. And so kind of in the same light, not, you think about the sensitivity of this. Chief Jennings did give our city 33 years of his life, and through service, and the specifics of the details were anonymous during the conversation, but he did on his own accord, which is not something that could be mandated, but he voluntarily decided that he wanted to release that to the public, and I applaud him for doing that because, it gave the public some relief because there were a whole lot of questions and not specific answers given to the public.
Yeah, I would agree with everybody on this stage. However, I do think that we have to have a better process of how the settlement was handled and how that decision came about, right? I think that needs to be transparent and open to the public. I don't think exactly the personal details of the personnel that's being handled, but at the end of the day, that is your taxpayer money being used to settle $350,000 to a high-paying city official, right? I think there's not one size that fits all. I think there has to be a better transparent process on how the money got there to begin with, and also considering the gravity of the situation.
I want to go back to transit In November, we'll be voting to increase the sales tax to 8.25% for a multi-billion-dollar roads and transit plan. I want to ask everyone, will they be supporting it, and why? And if not, what are their concerns? I'll start with you, Councilmember Molina.
Of course. So let me back up. I currently serve as the Vice Chair of Transportation Planning and Development for Charlotte City Council. And so I've been in a lot of the conversations around the specifics and making sure now that the public knows what's in it for them, how this matters to you and your family is the charge we've been given. I remember when we were discussing, and that's 6 months that we lost in being able to educate the public about the specifics of this referendum, and that's a miss. But we can't make it a referendum without there being, permission from the General Assembly. So from a transparency perspective, in order for it to go to the General Assembly, there had to be a consensus from the cities and towns within Mecklenburg County, and all cities and towns but one voted in favor of what you see before you. And then it went to the General Assembly, and there were, discussions there, and it was by a Republican General Assembly passed as the PAVE Act. Do I think it's perfect? Do I think that there would have been a wish list that I would have loved to have imposed for my district and even other parts of the city? Absolutely. I'm a homeowner in East Charlotte. I've been a homeowner since I've lived in Charlotte. I moved directly to Charlotte in 2004 when I was in my very, very early 20s, and I bought a house when I first got here. I bought in as soon as I got here. I've been a homeowner the entire time. So what matters beyond just raising a family here is how we get around and how we move the people, not only in District 5, but our region. Again, I have a dual role. I have the role of leadership that looks at the overall plan for our entire city, and I have the role of being the council member for District 5 in East Charlotte. So that's a dual role, but I will be my personal vote, and that should have no bearing on whether anyone else votes for or against. If you're asking me what I'm going to check at the ballot, I'm going to check yes. I'm going to check yes because transit and transportation are two different things. Transit is how we move people. Transportation is everything else. That's sidewalks, that's lighting, that's bike lanes, that is everything else that we need for our city. That's paved roads that we can't afford to do right now because our general fund doesn't have the amount of money that we need to do that, not only in District 5, but across this city. So I do realize that the Silver Line is something that in the current PAVE Act, there's not enough funds allocated because out of $9 billion total, the Silver Line costs $7 billion of those $9 billion. I've heard many different things about whether that could happen in the future. We got some people who are encouraged and heartened by that, but my goal is to provide the residents of District 5 with as much information as possible before that referendum is before them so that they can make
rail. The Silver Line is going to stop at Bojangles Coliseum. That is District 1, not District 5. And the bill, the PAVE Act, did not sit just there untouched. There are different iterations of it, actually. And there's opportunities where Charlotte City Council could have negotiated and advocated for a little bit more. Specifically, there was an opportunity for our current representation to advocate for more for the Silver Line into District 5, but there wasn't any attempt to do so. The bill has different iterations. I know Steve has reported on it, many other folks have reported on it as well. The other addition to my stance on the no is there's 5 strategic investment area plans and our mobility, the city's mobility strategic plan. 5 in District 5. 5 strategic investment areas plans in District 5. 1 which is already fully funded, that was voted on by voters. That's in Harrisburg and Far East. And then the other 3 areas, 2 of them only fall entirely within District 5. So while the entire city is getting a lot more investments, District 5 is not. Again, I am pro public transportation. I'm pro public transit. I'm an advocate for that. I lived in New York City. I lived in DC. I got to fully take advantage of that. But I'm not going to vote personally on a plan that makes low-income, middle-class communities pay more for getting less in return. Thank you.
Councilmember Johnson.
Thank you for the question. I'm undecided. And I think you hear a lot of current council members say that we're undecided. I'll speak for myself. I want to support it. I pushed for infrastructure. I championed the city's first infrastructure meeting in December of 2022. So I know that we need infrastructure. When you think of District 4 along Mallard Creek and the overcrowding with the traffic going towards Concord Mills and just 85, and we need more infrastructure. I talk about cumulative impact monthly during our rezoning meetings. So infrastructure is very important, but there's a lot of concerns with this tax. JD just talked about a lot of them, the prepared food taxes. When you think about our most vulnerable residents who live in hotels because they cannot afford housing, they're buying prepared foods because they don't have kitchens. So the inequities in the different areas, the lack of minority contracting, the lack of attention to buses, and I always say we need to manage, we do need to lead for the future, but we also need to balance and manage for our current residents. So I have some concerns. I want to support it. We need infrastructure, but this plan has to be right. And you hear phrases like, don't let perfect be the enemy of good. These cliches are just not appropriate right now. We need to get this right. And so that's my concern. And there are a lot of folks out here, very smart people who've done some great research. And you think about Reverend Barber and Pastor Boyd and Bobby Drakeford and Colette Forrest and Action NC and Robert Dawkins and other voices that are very respected. We have to consider it. So I'm going to, it's my personal vote. If it is passed, I'm going to ensure that there's transparency in the process. So that's one of the things I think we need to be very, very transparent in the process. So I'm prepared either way as a leader, but personally, I'm on the fence.
Mr. Russell.
Thank you. So I will be supporting the tax, mainly because the red line runs right through District 4. So our residents will be served. And in fact, we'll have a couple of stations within walking distance of our district. And I know that our area, District 4, is heavily commuted. There are a lot of people that travel daily for work. They come out of their homes, they go to work, and they come back. And they need to have those transportation options. If you look at Charlotte 20 years ago, we were a city of about 500